ways to shorten nouns. We're going to start off with this funny little comic that I found here. It says, my name was David, but that sounded old-fashioned, so I shortened it to DVD. I thought that was kind of funny, because today with texting and everything, we shorten a lot of our words. Sometimes we make abbreviations, sometimes we make acronyms. An acronym is different from an abbreviation because it is formed from the initial components of a phrase or a word. For example, some common ones that you may be familiar with would be FBI, which is Federal Bureau of Investigation. So that's formed by taking the first letter of each of those words in that phrase. Another one that we've talked about recently and that you may be familiar with is NASA. NASA is the National Aeronautics and Space Administration. So again, just like FBI, that one was taken from the first letter of each of the words in that phrase. A common one that you use probably when you're texting or typing or even talking sometimes would be LOL, laugh out loud. So a question for you, do you know what a DVD is? Not like it's used here as an abbreviation for David, but the kind that's the disc that we put in our players at home to watch movies on. That actually stands for Digital Versatile Disc. Bet you didn't know that. Alright, so abbreviations. What is an abbreviation? It's a shortened form of a word. Usually we use a period after most of the abbreviations. Not all, but a lot of them. For example, Ms. Mitchell is my teacher. Ms. is abbreviated. It's an abbreviated form of mistress, and it's abbreviated to MS to shorten it, and we do use a period after that. Ms. can refer to any lady, whether they're married or not. Typically, a married lady we refer to as Mrs., and a single lady would be referred to as Miss. Ms. is correct either way, so it can be used for any lady. Another example of an abbreviation would be AV for Avenue. I live on Pennsylvania Ave. Abbreviations for roads and streets are commonly used when writing addresses. So how do we make an abbreviation? Typically, like, for example, with days of the week, we use the first couple letters of a name and then put a period. So for Monday, we use capital MON, period. Tuesday, capital TUE, period. Months, November, NOV, period. When we're doing abbreviations for months, May, June, and July, they're already pretty short, so we don't use an abbreviation for those words. We just write those words out. Abbreviations are nice shortcuts when we don't have a lot of time and we want to take a little shortcut from writing a whole word. An abbreviation is good to use. When we're writing addresses, like I said before, typically a lot of the streets can be abbreviated. Sometimes you'll see something like Smith Street. You can abbreviate street with capital ST, period. There may be highway, which is capital HWY, period. Avenue, capital AVE, period. Road, capital RD, period. Boulevard, capital BLVD, period. Lane, capital LN, period. And court, capital CT, period. Think about your street address right now. Think about where you live. Do you live on a street, an avenue, a road, a lane, a court, something different? Think about the abbreviation for the street that you live on. Titles of people are also commonly abbreviated. These titles typically come before a name. Like I said before, mistress can have 3 different abbreviations. There's Mrs., capital MRS, period, which refers to a lady that is married. There's mistress with Miss, capital MISS, which refers typically to a lady who is not married. Mistress with capital MS, period, is referring to either a lady that's married or one that is not. And in a situation where you don't know whether someone is married or not, and you are referring to them, it's probably best to use capital MS, period. Mr. is capital MR, period. Another common one that we see a lot is doctor, capital DR, period. Junior is something that would come after a name. Capital JR period. Directions as abbreviations. We can abbreviate north, south, east, and west by using a capital letter and a period after it. And other common abbreviations that we use are listed here. Let's take a look at some of them. Saint, as in churches, whenever we are referring to a church like St. Peter, it's capital ST period. You have to be careful when looking at that one because that's also an abbreviation for street. So you have to look at the context of what you're writing or what you're reading. Mountain, capital MT period. Captain. Governor. Post office. Sometimes you use PO when you're writing an address, like Post Office Box 34628. Before noon and afternoon we use when telling time, AM and PM. Incorporated is usually placed after a business name. Miscellaneous means something extra or something that's not part of a certain group, etc. It's something we use usually when we're listing things like, oh, you can bring to class your book, your binder, your pencil, bring your pencil box with your colored pencils, etc. Etc. means all the other stuff that kind of comes with it. Like in your pencil box, you might have highlighters or pens or scissors. So instead of listing all of those specific things, we use etc. so that you kind of know that there are other things that can be included in that group. Example, EX period is one we use a lot. Can you think of some abbreviations that we haven't talked about yet? On your practice paper, I'd like you to list about 5. Try and think about 5 abbreviations that we haven't mentioned yet. List the words and their abbreviations. Okay, let's try this practice here. You're going to have to press the pause button and rewrite the following list of words as abbreviations or using abbreviations. When you're finished, go ahead and press the play button again and we'll take a look at some correct answers. Go ahead and give it a try.